stories for you guys today. Right. Good morning, Nigeria. I like to say that TVC has a finger on the pulse and our eyes constantly on the streets. And we do our best to bring you trending stories from across the globe and Nigeria in order to have some productive, intelligent, and hopefully interesting dialogue about them. In our first story, the methods of the Nigerian police force, often the most visible law enforcement agency on the ground, are once again under public scrutiny. A viral video showing a single stretch of road in Nigeria with more than 5 police checkpoints has people questioning the purpose and the practice of these stops. A lot of people are questioning the necessity of such dense checkpoints placements, especially when these stops are frequently accused of being less about safety and more about exploitation and extortion. It is a familiar Nigerian frustration, officers demanding bribes under the guise of routine checks while offering us little in the way of actual security. But with mounting insecurity across the country, the call for safer roads and tighter border control has never been louder. But amidst all that urgency, we have to ask the question, when does security enforcement become excessive? This is very, very interesting. It's unfortunate that while the Nigerian police is trying to foster public trust by making so many checkpoints on one single road, what they are doing is unfortunately eroding public trust. I think a general Nigerian sentiment when we see so many checkpoints, it's not relief of, oh, the Nigerian police is here to keep me safe. It's more like, here we go again. And so I hope that Nigerian police takes a shift from policing for profit to actually policing for protection. But let's take a look at social media. At Omobola Odunton says, at Police NG, let's sort this out. Sooner or later, all these people will be fed up, and it will lead to them not stopping when they don't have any funds to give. You know how the story will end. Let's find a way to get them off the road. And Chukudi says, at Police NG, what's the essence of these Roja points in quote? Can't your men park at the corner, stay in their vehicles observing without hindering the movement of road users? This is 2025, and yet the police institution is carrying out security measures like Nigerians are living in the 1800s. Fix up, this cannot be sustainable. Once again, policing for protection and not policing for profit. Moving on, tragedy has unfortunately hit the family of 26-year-old Lagos banker Osemudi Amen Idemudia, who was found dead in a Yaba morgue days after being declared missing. Osemudi Amen worked in the point-of-sale department of a commercial bank in the Ikota area and was last seen on May 9th around the CMS area of Lagos. But his body has now been discovered just over the weekend, bearing multiple machete wounds to his head, his face, and his legs. A horrifying discovery that has left his family convinced that he was brutally murdered. Now, here's the kicker. A relative told reporters that the family had visited numerous hospitals and mortuaries before eventually locating his body, and they said that the morgue attendants claimed that police officers brought in the corpse but didn't say much about how, where, or why he was found. Osemudi Amen was laid to rest on Tuesday. Now his family is, of course, demanding answers and justice. And this has, of course, raised fresh concerns about the safety in the CMS area in Lagos, especially for commuters. When we talk about police reforms, it's important that our forensic capabilities of the Nigerian police take priority. Unfortunately, forensic science and our capabilities in Nigeria are not only underfunded, but also underused. A lot of our homicide investigations take place with little to no forensic input. Cases like this should not still be happening. With a DNA, autopsies, reconstructions, this should not be happening. Police reforms need to also prioritize forensic input. Let's take a look at some comments on social media. May his soul rest in perfect peace. At Ondofa Albert says, what is the name of the institution that he works for? When last was he seen at work? When did he leave? His last communication with his colleagues, the institution and fellow colleagues should be called in for questioning, and further investigation should proceed from there. Quite sad. The security in Nigeria is shameful. We'll take some more comments. Atunji Orekoya says, if the family wants the truth surrounding his death, they need to arrest the morgue attendants. Nobody, including the police, will drop a corpse in any morgue, private or public, without submitting his or her details and the details relating to the corpse. This is very, very morbid, team. God forbid, but imagine, just seeing your child the day before work, and then he goes missing. You declare him missing. A week later, machete wounds found on his face, his body. He was brutally murdered, and no one can give you answers. His family is saying that Nigerian police dropped his body off at the morgue, but they don't know where, anything other than that.
It is, it's a very, very, very sad story that a member of your family will go out in the morning, and naturally you'll expect that he'll come back home, and he doesn't show up. When you find him, it's his corpse. You know, it's really, really sad. Things like this have happened before, and somehow the story just ends halfway. Nobody can find out what actually happened to the person, and so on. For the morgue attendants, I believe that morgues have a record of things, situations like this where the police brings a corpse. It's supposed to be recorded. It's supposed the time it came and all that, the officer that brought it, and so on, so that investigations into the case will be easier. My heart goes to his family and everybody that is in his circle. It's really sad. And for several checkpoints on the road, go to the east by road. Before you get to Benin, you would have counted like 50 checkpoints. And that's when it is light. Then from Benin down, my brother is like 150 before, let's say you're going to Port Harcourt. You see so many of them. Yes, do they extort? Are they there for security? I believe that good security is not as visible as that. You know, it shouldn't be that visible, but very effective. That's my take.
Well, for this story, perhaps because of our peculiarities as a country, we decide to adopt these kinds of measures to check activities of criminally minded persons and all of it. But how much result has that given us? At the end of the day, we hear of extortion from these persons who mount these checkpoints. So there has to be some level of what exactly do we want to achieve with these checkpoints? Do we want to actually address security issues, or we want to extort people? We need to separate it and then address things head on. At some points, it was cleared off. The government put in place measures that no police checkpoint should be seen. But at the end of the day, we began to see the resurgence of these checkpoints. But how much result has that brought us when we are talking about addressing our security challenges? I'll leave it there. Now, talking about the late Osemudiame, it's sad, and may he so rest in peace. May God condole and console the family at this trying time. Olamide, I tell you, when you go out of your house and you come back home safely, you must give thanks to God.
Absolutely.
Because of safety.
Absolutely.
No one can determine what happens. I know that police don't wield machetes, so I do not want to place the blame on the police as we speak, although I was not there, so I don't know what transpired. I know that the policemen we have don't wield machetes, so there must have been other things that could have transpired, and investigation has to go on, although we have limited information with regards to this killing. But like Etoma said, they should go back to the morgue and begin to ask questions. If those people need to be arrested, so be it.
I start by talking about the checkpoints. I remember in 2023, the IGP at the time, raised the ban, imposed the ban on checkpoints, especially illegal checkpoints that you find across the roads. In the morning, each time I'm going back home, most times I get to see some of them, on several roads, especially when you go to the mainland and you're going towards Ikorodu, you find some policemen there. You see commercial buses that are unruly on the road. They don't respect traffic laws and all of that. They do not say anything. Even at the time when we were still Article C. Going to the office in the morning, you see them obstructing the road, and they are not saying anything, but they are after private vehicles, private commuters. They're looking for Yahoo boys, so-called Yahoo boys, especially the youth that are driving their own cars or their father's cars. But those are their targets. They do not even look at people that are constituting nonsense on the road. So I think the police should revisit this and disband illegal checkpoints across our roads. Talk about the banker who was allegedly killed, macheted, and his body found in the morgue. without proper data, proper information. What do we say about every one of us who wakes up in the morning, come into the office, early risers? Are you saying that our lives are not safe any longer in this country? So much should be done, because there are so many early risers. When you get to Lagos, does not even go to sleep. So when you wake up in the morning, you're seeing people, hustling and bustling has already started. It doesn't even stop. So please, let us shore up the security. Lagos State is doing so much when it comes to security compared to other states, but there is so much still left to be desired. So we need to, work on this and investigate this properly, ensure who have done this, and bring them to justice, please.
Absolutely. May his soul rest in perfect peace. But Emetoma, like you said, in the East, it is a commonplace to see about 50 checkpoints on a long stretch of road. But 50 checkpoints, 1K each, that's 50K. That's somebody's salary. Wahala. Moving on in our next story. Unfortunately, child trafficking remains a dangerous threat to young Nigerian children. Many are stolen, sold into slavery, and subjected to unspeakable abuse. So when suspected traffickers are caught, it's more than just a headline. It is but a small yet vital victory in a much larger war. A video currently circulating online shows two men who were allegedly caught trafficking children in the Oyigbo local government area of Rivers State. While full details of this case are still emerging, incidents like this remind us why it's so important to tell these stories, not just to raise awareness, but to name and shame the people involved in this, and to show that communities are no longer staying silent. Because every child saved is a life reclaimed, and every trafficker exposed is one less predator hiding in plain sight. This is very, very sad. I will always say that where there is a demand, there will be a supply. The authorities need to keep on exploring and tracking these supply chains, right from the abduction of these children to the sale of these children. We can't give them any breathing space. Let's take a look at, I'm not going to take any tweets for this because a lot of the tweets were quite abusive and unsafe for minors. But moving on, in our next story, much better news. Nigerian musician, filmmaker, advocate, entrepreneur, and one-time politician, Banky W, has a message about manhood for Nigerian men. Now, in a video shared online, Banky W gives a candid glimpse into what he believes the modern man should look like. He spoke openly about marriage as a true partnership, and he says that he's not afraid to take on house chores or traditionally on masculine roles to support his wife, actress Adeswa Wellington. Take a look at Banky W. Take some notes, guys.
And just to play the role of a supportive partner, because we both believe that marriage is a partnership. It's not 50-50, it's 100-100. It's each person bringing 100% of what they can bring at that particular point in time for the good of the family. And so while, she was, carrying the baby, I'll do the chores. And while she was birthing the babies, I'll take care of our 3-year-old. And, we just hold each other down in this season of life. And it's really been a blessing, and we're very, very happy. And we have 2 amazing kids now, so we couldn't be happier. In church, we say that your family is your first ministry. So more than what you teach or preach or pastor, it's what you're able to do at home. I think that counts first before you look at anything else.
I think that this is a very refreshing take in a culture where gender roles and marriage are still hotly debated, and it's already generating a wave of praise and conversation online. I want you men back at home to bear in mind that Banky W was pursuing a master's degree while his wife was pregnant, and he still had time to manage his home and also do that. So you people, you don't have an excuse. But when we think about maintaining the family unit, we must remember that it is both the responsibility of the man and the woman. If you need to do house chores, you do it. Pick up a broom. If not, I won't marry you. Let's take a look at social media. I want a man who cleans. At Eukaria Oranta says, there are so many lessons here for unsupportive husbands. Marriage thrives when couples work together as a team in managing the home. May God continue to bless Mr. Banky's home, and thank you, the admin, for sharing this beautiful video. Let's take a look at one more tweet. At Hilltop says, kudos. We are in an era where family life is eroding. Indeed, the family unit needs protecting by men like Banky W and hopefully my future husband. In international news, during a tense Oval Office meeting, the US President Donald Trump confronted South African President Cyril Ramaphosa with videos and images he claimed showed a genocide against white farmers in South Africa. What started as a light-hearted exchange turned very serious when Trump dimmed the lights and played a montage of alleged violence and inflammatory speeches by black people in South Africa. Take a look at this ambush.
Excuse me, turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross.
Now, President Ramaphosa sat mostly silent as the footage rolled, but later responding that the clips did not reflect his official government policy. President Trump has also handed Ramaphosa what appear to be printouts of stories of white people being attacked in South Africa. But despite this awkward moment, Ramaphosa described the meeting, which lasted about 3 hours, as having gone very well. President Trump loves the element of surprise. This is reminiscent of what he did to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky in February. He loves the element of surprise. He wants to show you receipts, and he's bringing the evidence. He's not a cha-cha-cha president. But should this element of surprise, does it connote a disrespect to a leader? He wasn't expecting that video to be played. You dim the lights, and in essence, you turn the Oval Office into a sort of investigation ground. But anyway, if you guys have an interesting perspective you'd like to share, please tag us with the hashtag #TrendingNow on any social media platform. I promise you that we are listening. I'm going to take 2 tweets about this. At Templar says, President Trump is an absolute G for what he's doing there. There is no other president or politician who would have the brass to do what he just did. Never before, and most likely never again after him. He just cuts through all the nonsense and says, roll the tape. That is what I voted for. Let's take another look at social media. Atsrikan says, when South Africa the guys who took Israel to the International Court of Justice over genocide accusations? Shameless duplicity. Team, Ramaphosa never expected it. He never thought that that was coming. And to sit down, he was there to foster peace relations between South Africa and America. Just 2 weeks ago, a lot of Afrikaners sought refuge in America, white Afrikaners who said they were fleeing prosecution. Yeah. And now President Trump is still pushing this whole narrative of a white genocide going on in South Africa, and ambushed the South African president.
You see, when you ambush somebody like that with the stark reality of what's happening, the information sticks. And since he's Mr. President, that information will stick, and with the hope that when he goes back to South Africa, it will be on the front burner on what he wants to do. So it's a strategy, it's a good strategy and all that. But I want to ask Trump, what about the videos of racism in the United States, white policemen brutalizing black people and all that? I'm sure he has seen the videos too. So maybe somebody should should ambush him with those. Very effective strategy that he used, because I'm definitely sure that Ramaphosa will not forget that moment for a very long time. Banky W and how the modern husband should be. It is happening in a lot of homes. Men are cooking, cleaning, washing, and doing all that. It's happening in a lot of homes. It happens in mine. I'm not saying that because I'm on TV. I'm saying that because it's true. It's happening. But there are still some men that believe that there are set out chores for women and set out chores for men. Look, whatever makes your home move smoothly without quarrel, and whatever makes your home a paradise to live in, that's what you should do as a man. And I think I should stop there.
Absolutely. And I'll pick up that story, Banky W story, from where you stopped, Etoma. Shout out to you, Danny Boy, for all you have been doing for your support.
Shout out to you, Danny Boy.
He's been very supportive. He does a lot of
It's
cooking.
a time to share the testimony.
Of course, he does a lot of cooking. He does a lot of the chores at home. He's supportive in every way he can, and I appreciate that. That's all I will say. But kudos to you, Banky W. And for Trump, I guess he has forgotten apartheid and why Nelson Mandela and the black Africans had to fight for that at that time. I'm even sure Cyril Ramaphosa was part of that fight during that period. But I'll leave it here that that story is not true, even from the evidence he said he brought out.
Right, my wife is not here to do the shout out for me. I'll do it for myself because I compete with her on everything, including kitchen, cleaning and everything. So
we have some good men on
yeah,
the stage.
absolutely. No, I'm a proud when it comes to that. But I'm largely interested in what Trump did. I disagree with you, Etoma, because Trump, what he has done is nothing other than hypocrisy. We see all the genocide going on, the war crimes that is going on in Israel, where children, women, everyone is being killed. Just allow me to just quickly, land on this. So it's very, very important. It's very, very important for Trump to work on this rather than double standard.
That's all we can take on the show today. Thank you all.